Welcome back to Topic 1, the introduction to the field of organizational behavior. In the previous lesson, you learned about the definition of organizational behavior, what makes an organization, and the value of organizational behavior for employees and the organizations. I hope you have thought about what an organization learns, why it learns, and how it does it, because it will give you an idea about the organizational learning perspectives, which is what this lesson is all about. The first part of this lesson focuses on the management of knowledge, also known as intellectual capital, in an organization. The second part of the lesson, on the other hand, will take you through the four processes involved in organizational learning. So let's move on to the first part of the lesson. Organizational learning has been described as the organization's ability to learn and its capacity to translate that learning into action. That gives the organization the ultimate competitive advantage. An effective organization is capable of finding ways to acquire, share, use, and store knowledge for its development and success. In this learning perspective, organizations play an active role in supporting knowledge sharing and creativity among its employees. It also encourages the employees to transform the knowledge that has been shared with them into something useful that they can apply onto their work in the form of products or services. We are living in a knowledge economy, and in this context, modern organizations treat knowledge, also known as intellectual capital, as their most important assets. Intellectual capital is an intangible value driver in an organization that bring about future benefits. The three forms of intellectual property are human capital, structural capital, and relationship capital. And in the next slide, we're going to look at each and every type of capital in greater detail. Let's look at the first form of intellectual capital, that is human capital. Human capital is an asset consisting of the knowledge and skills held by a person that can be used by an organization to advance its goals. Human capital is important because some level of human knowledge and skills is necessary in order for an organization to accomplish its goals. That is why when they recruit their employees, they always make sure that they have the relevant skill sets that fit into the knowledge gap of the organization. And human capital is difficult to find, copy, or replace with technology because it's uniquely it's a unique feature of each and every single person. The second type of capital is structural capital. Now, while organizations are often at risk of losing their human capital when their employees leave, structural capital is owned by an organization and remains within an organization even when people leave. Strong structural capital of an organization involves the culture of support and allows individuals to try new things and learn from mistakes, has the potential to contribute to the human capital development by facilitating the exchange of knowledge. So this is a bigger type of capital which actually is fully embedded in the organization. And later on, it will be transferred and transferred to the employees. Lastly, we have relationship capital. Relationship capital comprises the knowledge and trust built up between an organization, its users and suppliers, and the relationship that is established between an organization and its staff. This includes all kinds of relationships with customers, partners, suppliers, community, government, media, institutions, groups, and people who have an interest in the success of the organization. All these interactions involve the sharing of knowledge, the solving of problems, and the creations of connections, and the creation of brand and reputation. Organizations need to ensure that they have sufficient human capital, strong structural capital, and smart relationship capital to develop and grow. So I hope with this explanation, you are more aware of the importance of these three forms of intellectual capital in an organization. All right, we have looked at what and why organizations need to learn. The next part of the lesson shows you how an organization's intellectual capital is developed and maintained through the processes of acquiring, sharing, using, and storing knowledge. You can see this clearly on this slide. There are 4 processes involved here. You have knowledge acquisition, knowledge sharing, knowledge use, and knowledge storage. Now let's go on to look at each and every step in these processes. The first step is knowledge acquisition. To acquire knowledge, organizations rely on their employees to bring in knowledge through formal training and observation of external environment. For example, a hospital will need to hire experienced nurses, qualified doctors, so that the organization can run as a hospital. Environmental scanning, grafting, and experimentation are the other alternatives that organizations use to stock up knowledge. And this usually happens through individual learning, through observation or training, environmental scanning, for example, monitoring consumer trends and competitor activities. It also happens through hiring skilled staff and buying complementary businesses like what I said earlier on, and also experimentation. This can be done through generating new ideas and products through creative discovery and testing. And that is how knowledge is being acquired in an organization. Now the next step is knowledge sharing. As you can see on the slide, it involves the distribution of knowledge throughout the organization. The knowledge available in organizations need to be effectively distributed and adequately shared with all the members. This can be done via formal communication within the organization, whether it's written or verbal, and also through informal communication channels such as the organizational structure, workspace design, corporate culture, and social activities. On top of that, knowledge is also shared through in-house learning. For example, some training courses and also some observation that is being done. At the same time, knowledge can also be shared through the company intranets and digital information repositories in the form of records and reports. After one has acquired the knowledge and also the knowledge has been shared with the employees, the organization needs to make sure that the knowledge is being used by the employees. Now, knowledge shared will be rendered useless if the employees of the organization do not know how to apply it to improve organizational processes. It takes a mental map or sense making for employees to find and use knowledge effectively. Therefore, employees need to be made aware of the existence of knowledge in the organization, and they must know where to find the knowledge. Besides that, some prerequisite skills and knowledge need to be in place to enable employees to apply the knowledge to facilitate their work. With enough freedom, flexibility, and positive learning orientation, language use in organization will be optimized. Lastly, we have knowledge storage. Knowledge storage is the process of retaining knowledge or organizational memory. After bringing in knowledge, sharing it and training the employees to use the knowledge, organizations often face the risk of losing the knowledge when the employees leave. Therefore, it is crucial for organizations to set up efficient management system that retains the knowledge by motivating the employees to stay as long as possible. Yeah, that's the first point, retains human capital. And encouraging them to share with, then transfer their knowledge to their co-workers. At the same time, organizations should also regularly document and build knowledge to retain it for future use. So far, we've been talking about learning perspective in an organization. Now, we cannot talk about learning without also taking into consideration the unlearning that happens in organization. As much as knowledge is important to the growth and development of organizations, only those that is beneficial and valuable should be learned and kept. Policies, procedures, practices and behaviors that are dysfunctional and outdated may become the stumbling block to the progress of the organizations that need to be unlearned and removed. Just like our phone, we need to always clean the memory so that we do not keep those unwanted stuff, and then that would actually block that will prevent us from storing other more useful things in our phone. So this is very much the same process here. So organizational unlearning for organizational change is also an important perspective of organizational learning. Now, things that are commonly unlearned in an organization's would involve those policies that are already outdated, procedures that are no longer relevant, and routines that are no longer practical. And also some staff, they need to change their attitudes, the beliefs that need to be changed, and also assumptions that are no longer valid need to be discarded. And this is also the time for employees to think about the best way to perform a task and how to serve clients. To learn about organizational learning and its processes in greater detail, you can refer to pages 19 to 24 of Chapter 1 of the recommended textbook, or the video that talks about organizational learning and knowledge management that is available and in the following post as an enhancement activity. You are encouraged to watch the video, reflect on the points, discuss it, and share your thoughts and insights of the topic of discussion with everyone in this course. I hope you find this lesson interesting and useful to your understanding of organizational behavior. See you in the next lesson.